Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of the Founders Ark podcast for Lost Ark. My name is ChaosMole, and well, it seems like we are alone this weekend, which is a bit unfortunate, not gonna lie. Hi! Yes, I still need a haircut. Beaver is returning till I get a haircut, he said. He was like, dude, I would love to do a podcast with you, but I will be honest, with this haircut, I cannot do it, man. I just cannot do it. And he is right. I really need a haircut. So I'm actually hoping it's due this week. Now, Beaver is not here today, which is unfortunate. But we still have a good amount of topics to talk about when it comes to Lost Ark. What you are seeing here is a recording of last week's Season 1 PvP. I didn't really stream a lot of Lost Ark this week, unfortunately. I played Lost Ark this week. I didn't stream it much. I had so many other things. We still have to finish Elden Ring. I really have to power through at that point now because it's the beginning of April and then we want to play something else. And long story short, too much other stuff to play. But we will definitely talk about the PvP in just a minute. And maybe Beaver is still showing up. Maybe not. I don't know what's going on with him. I hope he is alright. That's the most important part. But yeah, we are back. And man, it was, interestingly enough, it was a relatively quiet week in Lost Ark. But there were still things happening. And I think that's something good, right? But so I have reached tier 3, and I have also reached tier 3 1,380, 370, something like that. So I'm slowly moving forward, but it's a drag. It's a drag, and my biggest problem is still, as I said before, that unfortunately none of the classes I want to play in Lost Ark are really available to me, which really sucks, like Lancemaster, Scouter, and one of the classes I actually hoped would be available to me right from the beginning, because it was a launch class in Lost Ark, was the Arcanist, and well, turns out it wasn't. And now I'm basically playing classes I didn't really want to play right from the beginning. I do enjoy my gun lancer still. Like it's a very different class in comparison to all the others, and you're very much appreciated in every group. Like even if you're not the highest DPS in the group, you bring a lot to the table, and people enjoy that. So it works, but it's still not a class I really want to play. So I'm hoping we are getting some new classes soon, and we will talk about that when we are getting to the whole roadmap thingy. What else? So, unfortunately, Beaver is not here because I would have loved to see his opinion on that, right? And it's about the events. So we got a lot of events, right? And they're fun. They're relatively quick, so to speak. But I have to admit, it becomes too much. I'm overwhelmed by the amount of content I can do, and I'm also still trying to play some PvP here, which in conjunction is even more to do. That's on me though, that's my fault. But yeah, in this case, it's like you have like your Chaos dungeon, right? Maybe you have your Abyss dungeon, then you have your Guardian raids, then you have the race, which is quickly done, but still. Then you have the, what do you call them, casual Guardian raids, which is also relatively quickly done, but still. And then there is still like, you have the islands you want to do, you have your weekly events you want to do. Like there's so much that if you want to play efficiently, I sometimes wonder if you can really do that if you are just having like an hour or two per day. Because I sometimes feel like when I'm done with my whole daily stuff, right? I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, whoa, man, that's crazy. I'm already 3 hours on this. And then, of course, if you still want to play like your other characters because you want to farm a little bit with that, you realize very quickly that time is the biggest factor, right? You have to do too much. And why I'm mentioning this, right now, I think it's still doable. It's still a lot, but it's still doable. But they have already said they want to add more events to the game. They want to add more events to the game, and it's just even more. Like, I'm already running out of time as it is, and you want to put even more events in there. Okay, well, I guess. And welcome in, folks, everyone who is joining us for the podcast. Welcome in. Sit down. As I said earlier, if everyone is wondering, where the hell is Beaver? I don't know. I hope he is alright. Unfortunately, he's not there. So I'm doing this my own. It will be a little bit shorter than usual. But yeah, I will do it my own here. The good old do-it-yourself. Exactly. So I might be a little bit more chatty with the chat today. So if you have some comments, some questions, something like that, just shoot. And I might actually turn sometimes to the chat and try to interact with you. I know that when Beaver is here, we have a pretty much planned out thing we want to do, right? And we are already in a talk with each other. So adding chat to that is still sometimes a bit complicated. Not impossible, but complicated. And yeah, but I'm alone right now, so we can make it work. We can make it work. But yeah, so they want to add more events, and I'm kind of curious, like how many events they actually want to add, because what I would love to see is give us just more rewards instead of adding events after events after events, right? As I said, not everyone has 2 to 3 hours per day to do the events, and other than the Guardian raids and the Chaos Dungeon, when you're missing out a day of that event, you're missing out on it. It's gone. You're not getting a bonus or anything like that. Like, it's just, you screwed it up. You missed it. Out of luck. And yeah, that's, again, right now, I'm a bit torn on the events, and I talked about this last week with Beaver already a bit, right? That what happens when we are getting events people don't like. I like the racing event. It's quick, even though the waiting time is sometimes longer than the active racing time, which I find a little bit annoying. I don't know why people have to wait that long in the waiting room all the time. That's really not necessary, but here we are. And it's a quick one, but I have to say the casual Guardian raid, I don't like. I don't like it at all. I'm not enjoying it. It's not that I'm hating it. So there is a discrepancy for me between I really enjoy something, I don't care for something, and I absolutely hate to do that, right? And for the casual Guardian raid, I'm at a point of I don't care. Like, I don't get an enjoyment out of it. I just do it because I want to get the resources, right? And yeah. just in general, my haircut is killing me. I know it looks horrible. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But yeah, however, I'm curious if they just want to give us more events to give us the resources instead of like raising the resources. I assume that they are a little bit afraid of raising the resources you are getting because they're not bound, the ones you are getting out of the Chaos Dungeons and all that. And this could basically affect the marketplace. This could affect the economy. So whenever they're increasing the price, or not the price, whenever they're increasing the drop rate of those resources, this will lower the price on the marketplace, and this will make gold less efficient, because right now you need a lot of gold, you also need a lot of silver, right? And so getting into the economy and changing things, making it less work, and like just making it less worth might be a problem down the line, right? So they have to be probably careful. And this is, again, why I assume this is probably the reason why they are like, yeah, we want to put events in, because A, the things you're getting through the events are bound to your character. And again, B, it cannot end up in the market. Maybe even for farmers, right? That would maybe affect farmers even more, and farmers could make even more gold and even more resources. And so, yeah, I get it why they want to do events. Just not the biggest fan of some of the events, unfortunately. Yep, but that's just me. I know that some people absolutely love the events and adore them. So, yeah. What else? Well, I did more PvP. I did try to play a little bit with the Hawkeye. Wait, sharpshooter. Yes, sharpshooter. With the sharpshooter, and it's weird. You see me in the video playing the Artillerist, right? And I'm shredding with the Artillerist. Like, even if I'm having bad games, I'm still doing 500,000 damage most of the time. There is barely a round where I do not do between 400,000 to 500,000 damage, or even higher. But anything higher than that is basically stomp grounds. Like, we are stomping the enemies with 600,000 or 700,000. Like, that's just stomping at that point. It doesn't really count, in my opinion. And the problem is with the sharpshooter, my best, what I'm getting out of it, or on the regular, what I'm getting out of it, is 300,000 damage. Like, the discrepancy is so high, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm trying to figure out, like, yeah, sure, the Hawkeye is far more mobile and has a lot more gimmicks and all that, and is not too reliant on your one-hit combo. Let's face it, like, the Artillerist has a one-hit combo. If you screw that up, you're not that effective. Like, getting yourself into position, hit the enemy with a stun, then put down your nuke, then you hit them with the artillery, and then you're calling in the other one. And you have to do that all in the time. Like, if you are getting interrupted or you're not hitting the stun, like, you are in a very unfavorable position. And you might be into trouble, right? And so I get it that the Artillerist does more damage maybe than the Hawkeye. Sharpshooter, goddammit. As the sharpshooter, because the sharpshooter doesn't really rely too much on super high cooldowns. Yes, he has a combo, but if he doesn't hit that combo will be ready again in 10 seconds instead of 30 seconds. So it is a much more forgiving playstyle, but it's still kind of weird that I just don't manage to go beyond the 300,000 to 400,000 damage. I just don't. And I was looking up guides for it. I was watching videos from some people, and I'm like, that's weird. I do the same thing. So what's the difference? What do I not see here? And I'm trying to figure that out myself, right? But at least for ranked, I have now started to play the Artillerist again and focusing on that to climb the rank, because it seems like I'm pretty decent with the Artillerist. I'm just decent with it. I'm not excelling with it. I'm not crazy strong, but I get my job done. I get the damage out. I'm kind of beefy. I can do some pretty good zoning for other classes in my team, even if I'm not having my 3-hit combo ready. And I'm just okay with that. Like, I first thought, and this is why people are asking, okay, why did you want to change from the Artillerist then? Because I was losing. And I was losing quite a bit of matches. And I wanted to see why that is. Is it because I'm not doing enough damage? Is it because, like, I'm not playing the Artillerist right? Like, what is the reason? I'm always the person who is looking first at me and my playstyle and what I'm doing, and try to rectify that before I'm pointing my fingers on anybody else. I know that especially streamers out there, they're the first which scream, stupid team, not my fault. Like, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. So I'm always like looking first at my errors and try to rectify them. So I was trying to figure out maybe that I'm not as good at the class as I thought I would be. Well, it turns out I am. It's really just the matches I have been losing was my team. Like, I have seen this. I played some ranked today, and my first ranked match was I do not read chat. Right, I have deactivated the chat when I'm in PvP because, let's be honest here, nothing useful is written there and people are just using it to flame. And I just hear the pling in chat because we are losing. Like the ding, 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 ding. I was like, okay, somebody is flaming their ass off. I had to deactivate the sound. But somebody was flaming their ass off and I was like, yeah, okay, I don't have to read that. And we lost. We lost by 3 deaths, 2 deaths, something like that. It was pretty bad. And I was looking at the stats. And I was like, I did 600,000 damage. I was the person who also didn't get that much damage. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that gunslinger. Barely reaching 300,000 damage and also getting most of the damage. Yeah, okay. Like, I know what happened here, right? And then I was just curious this one time. I was opening the chat and I see the gunslinger just using the biggest slurs available. Like, he was using a lot of slurs in chat and he was just like, wow, this R team, I am getting held back here. And I was like, dude, you got the most damage of the team and you did the least damage of the team. You died 5 times. Like, what are you trying to pull here, dude? You were the weakest link. You were the problem. And I just came to the conclusion, it's not to talk about that person, like whatever, F that person. But the point is, I can't play as good as I want with the Artillerist. I'm not a pro. I'm not a main PvP guy. I love to play PvP in Lost Ark. I enjoy it. I try to climb the ranks. I'm not aiming for Grandmaster or Master or something like that. But because of that, the reality for me is I have to play with my team, and sometimes I have matches where my team is not performing. It is what it is. You know? So, it's a team game. And sometimes the other team is better, or everyone is performing on the same level, and because of that is playing better together. Like, I had a PvP match, I think it was on Friday, where we had a death plate in our team who completely carried. Like, absolutely carried. She was just jumping around. She was just like murdering everyone. Like, I think she died once after she killed 4 people or so. Like, madness. Absolute madness. But because of that, we were pretty much on our own, and we barely won that round. In the end, we won with 1 kill. We won, but you would have assumed that we would have easily win that because our death plate was so strong. And the reality was, no, because she was out there on her own, doing her own thing, not cooperating with us, not caring for us, really. We were basically the targets all the time. Like, they realized that the death plate is super strong, so they were like, okay, there's one player who is super strong, but it's always alone, always like doing its own thing. Let's just isolate her. Let's just leave her alone, and then kill the other 2s which try to survive in that battle, right? And that was really, really smart by the enemy. Like, they saw the situation and they rectified it. So because the point I want to make here is, because the player was so good, they were on a completely different level than we were, and that was working against us. Because the person was just doing their own thing. Yeah, we won the match in the end, and that's the only thing which matters. But it was this close. It was this close. You know? And maybe 5 seconds more, and we would have had a draw. And then maybe another one would have died, and we would have lost. Like, it was really on the razor's edge, that match. Because we didn't play together. Or, well, me and the Sorg played together, but the death plate was just out there on her own and doing her thing. So, yeah, I have to realize it is a team game, and sometimes I cannot do anything. Like, sometimes the situation is just what it is, and you lose. I know it's painful, but it is what it is. It's a team game, yeah, exactly. So, with that said, now that we are already talking about PvP here, let's talk about the patch notes of this week in Lost Ark. Because if you might have missed it, Lost Ark had a small patch. And remember how me and Beaver talked about this thing called communication with Amazon and us? Remember that? Those patch notes were the perfect example of things which just failed to be explained to us. So I know if you're not playing PvP, this might not interest you, but it was still very significant. So PvP Season 1 started last week, and everyone started in Bronze at 1,300 points. 1,250. Yeah, 1,250. And it was hell, because there was a pretty low MMR you were starting out with, and bronze was just full of like even the hardcore players and whatnot. It was really bad. Now the patch notes came out, and they were like, yeah, folks, so last week Season 1 started, and we made a mistake. So you all should have started at 1,500 MMR, and everyone should have started in silver. Whoopsie. Don't you worry. You are getting the 250 points. Like, we will give you the points you were basically missing. So I'm now in the higher silver bracket. And I'm like, yay! Whoops, sorry, hit my microphone. Sorry for that. So I'm now in the higher silver bracket. And you might say, okay, what's the difference? The difference is, and this is why it is so important, when you're immediately starting at 1,500 points, and that is the threshold to silver, the people who are playing better are in deep silver or higher, much faster, and the people who are playing weaker than that are falling back into bronze. That means for the ranking system, it is easier to digest who should play together, because bronze players should play with bronze players, silver players should play with silver players, and then depending on where they are in their MMR, like when you are like, let's say 1,450, which is still bronze, but you are getting closer to silver again, there might then a higher chance that you are playing against new silver players, right? Or when you are like high-end silver, you might play against some gold players. Like, it would have been much better for the system that you were playing it, starting in silver, your season MMR, and then you have more room to spread the people out right from the beginning. But because we started at 1,250 MMR, everyone was pretty low in the bronze tier. Like, that is low bronze tier. And it was a mess. It was a mess. Like, you had teams you just stomped. You got stomped because you played against some grandmasters later on. Like, it was really bad. And thankfully they rectified this now after a week. But this is what brings us back to the whole topic of communications. We didn't know about this. We literally got this information a day before, not even a day. We got this, let me see. Do they have a timer here? No, they do not have a timer on this. That's unfortunate. But I know that we got the patch notes with this type of information just a few hours before the patch did go live. I'm like, why didn't you tell us that sooner? Like, you waited basically a week to tell us, hey folks, the MMR you were in, not the MMR you should be in. Sorry for that. We will fix it. Right? Like, I'm pretty sure there would have been some people who would have then halted to play. Like, I halted to play because I wanted to let the whole thing spread a little bit more out. Where I didn't even know that the whole silver thing was happening, right? I was just like, yeah, right now, the bronze I'm at is just horrible. Like, there is no rhyme and reason in it. Like, I have matches where I feel like I play against the newest Lost Ark PvP players of all time, or I'm playing against people who should be clearly in Diamond because they just fly over the battlefield and don't even die. And I was like, yeah, no, you know what? I will not keep up with that. I will wait a little bit till it fans out and till the system gets a little bit more used to where the MMR really lies. And I'm glad that they did that, because then they were like, oh yeah, about this ranked system. We would change that. It shouldn't have started like this. And whoops. Speaking about communications, right? It's like, why didn't you tell us that sooner? I am 100% sure you knew about this. The latest, a day later after Season 1 started. I am 100% certain that's the case. Speaking about things you should have known about, let's talk about the most pressing issues. Because Lost Ark has published another list of top issues. And the first thing they touch on is the roadmap. By the way, folks, as I said before, if anybody finds a roadmap at home, please mail it at lostark@amazon.com, because they really have lost it somewhere. They were just forgetting it at a pub or something like that. So if you find a roadmap, please mail that to them. Okay? But good news, they're finally talking a little bit about the roadmap, and they are saying that they will release the roadmap very soon, because they are finalizing the plans now for the content releasing in April and May. They know this isn't the furthest look in the future, with April arriving today, so they posted this on April 1st. But we want to ensure we are taking the time needed to analyze our plans while taking evolving player feedback and data into account wherever possible. Good. I take that. We understand that players want this news as soon as they can get, and have been waiting a long time for this communication. Yeah, like a month. I think we got the first roadmap in beginning of March? And then they completely rectified it, right? And they are saying that they want to prioritize quality and accuracy over speed of delivery. Yeah, we have seen that. When the roadmap comes, it will provide a sneak peek at the upcoming classes, raids, continents, and other updates that we are aiming to release in our April and May monthly content updates. It will not share every change or include every event, issue fix, or quality of life improvement included in the weekly updates throughout those months. It is possible that it may even change based on both data and feedback that we receive. That's fair. But I think just having it out there is a good idea. So it sounds pretty much that we are getting the roadmap this week. They have to. They have to give us this week. Because if they would give us this week, we would be 2 weeks into April already. And yeah, that's a bit late. So I'm pretty sure we were getting the roadmap this week. Beginning of the week, end of the week, don't know. It seems like they're always liking to talk to us on the weekends or before the weekends. Every bigger announcement is happening on a Friday, especially because Amazon Games is not working over the weekends. So it's like, okay, well, but that's good. That's good. One thing. So as you know, I'm capable, I pretend to be capable of speaking 2 languages, right? The one is English. This is the one I'm pretending the most. And then there's the second language, and that's German, right? And so I'm sometimes reading some German forum posts in Lost Ark and what the community managers are saying in German. And I don't know where that originates, but the German community managers still calling the Lost Ark roadmap a leak. Like, I saw yesterday, literally yesterday, a German community manager saying, oh yeah, I know everybody wants to see the Lost Ark roadmap, but man, let me tell you, we are still finishing it up. But that leak at the beginning of last month put a lot of pressure on us, and that was really unfortunate. I'm like, what are you talking about? There was no leak. What? You released the roadmap. Magazines were covering the roadmap. And then you removed it 2 hours later. You scrapped it from the internet. There was no leak. You released it officially. And then, well, the people saw it. And their first reaction was very negative. Let's call it that. Very negative. And you were like, yeah, maybe we want to like recalibrate the roadmap, you know. So yeah, I don't know where this is coming from with the German community managers, but kind of odd. But yeah, it seems like we are finally getting the roadmap. The next one they talked about was the honing difficulties. In our recent team message from Amazon Games and Smilegate RPG, we let players know that we are listening to feedback surrounding the honing system, which is ass. Change it. Like, just change the system how it works right now. I still believe that the proposed system I made is really good. Like, remove the percentage, hijack the amount of resources you need, but make it 100% thing. Like, quadruple them, sextuple them. Don't know what you have to do, like how high you have to go, but just do that and then make it a 100% thing. And the good thing is that system doesn't even undermine your pay-to-win aspect of the game. I can totally understand that Smilegate is kind of reluctant about this, because if they would change the system or completely swap it out against something else, they would basically rob themselves of the pay-to-win aspect they are unfortunately pushing in the game. Nobody here in the West is, by the way, jumping into. Like, yeah, there are some whales who are doing it, but like even the hardcore players who played in Korea a lot are like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting so much money on this? This is dumb. Stop it. You basically reach content 2 weeks before anybody else does. Why? Because literally 2 weeks later, the free-to-play players will reach the same point. Why did you just pay $500 for this? Why? Well, besides of, I have the money, I don't care, right? But no, the point is just, they want to push the pay-to-win aspect. Smilegate has been doing this for years. They will not want to lose out on it, even though I truly believe in the West here. Most people are more interested in the skins and the costumes, right? Then they're really interested into the honing materials you can buy. So change the system, throw the old system out, change it to always 100% honing chance, but just raise the amount of honing materials you need by quite a margin. And so that you have like an average amount of honing materials you need under the old system and under the new system, and it would be better. But again, they're not talking about that, so why am I saying that? And they would inject more earnable honing materials into the game to help to address some of these pain points. That item rollout began on March 24th with the improved Grand Prix rewards PvP rewards and Event Guardian raid rewards. Don't get me wrong, Smilegate and Amazon, I will make this very clear. I don't count the PvP rewards as something which will help. Because a lot of people don't care for PvP anyways. They really don't give a shit. And even if they would, the amount of PvP you have to do to unlock all the other PvP rewards which give you much more honing materials, it's just too much. You have to play 50 PvP games per week to kind of reasonably get something out of the PvP. Nobody has time for that on top of all the other things. Like, that doesn't really count. The Event Guardian raid plus the bonus gift sent alongside the celebration present. Okay, well, whatever. These events are just the first few that will be available with increased honing materials as reward, and we plan on continuing to improve reward tables for future events. We also want everyone to know that we are still monitoring player feedback and progression data regarding honing. Some players have already begun sharing their experience across forum threads, and it is appreciated. It may take time to find a comfortable path forward, but we already have plans to implement additional events. Yeah, again, really hoping they're not overdoing it with the events mechanics, curious what that means, and more to help players to continue to catch up to Lost Ark's endgame. So, let me have a look. How many people have reached tier 3 now? Do we want to have a look at that? Let's have a look. Where is... Yeah. Tier 3 so far has been achieved by 4% of the player base in the whole West. How do I know this? Because there is an achievement for reaching tier 3. There is a Steam achievement which you will earn, and you can see how many people worldwide, well, who have Lost Ark in the West, have achieved that achievement. 4%. 96% of the player base has not reached tier 3. And it is a climb. It is a climb. I can totally see that. It's a tough climb. So, they have to do something about this. Yep, they have to do something about this at some point. And keep in mind, the last time I checked was, I think, when Argos came around. That was what? 3 weeks ago? A month ago? When Argos came out? I think 3 weeks ago, right? Yeah, 3 weeks ago, I think. When Argos came out and everyone was pushing for tier 3, we were at 3%. That means in 3 weeks, 1%. 1% more of the people reach tier 3. Yeah. They will do some changes soon here. They have to, if they really want that people are seeing tier 3. Like, that's, I see some people already making arguments on Reddit and all that. Oh, Reddit, I'm sorry, but Lost Ark Reddit, stay away of that. It's a toxic cesspool. But there's already the argument of, no, don't give them more materials. They have to suffer through this, like I did. I don't want those, like, pesky casuals to get into my tier 3. I was like, dude, you do realize that to get to tier 3 needs 0 skill? Like, not a little bit of skill? So why not shortcut the time to the point where you actually need those skills to get somewhere in the game, like fighting Argos, and even like the end game abyss dungeons and all that. It's like, how about making people reaching it easier? And let's be honest here. When people say, yeah, they should suffer like I did, they should waste hours and weeks to reach tier 3 like I did, I say, that's not gonna happen. You know what most people do? They leave. They leave your game behind and say, no, this is not worth it. This is too much. I'm not interested. And that's not what you want. I know some people want it because they think like some elitist bullshit. But the reality is, yeah, the Dark Souls mentality. If you want that people do or die, basically, so to speak, to farm mats, to farm honing materials, you are killing your game. You are killing the player base which is financing your hardcore bullshit content. The player base who keeps those queues alive, who at some point might become hardcore players, who invest, who play, who do PvP. You need a basis to run an MMO, no matter how casual that is. And if you cannot keep that, you are killing your game. And the only thing you get at the end of this is this lousy t-shirt and the sentence of, I honed through tier 3 day 1. It's like, well, great. But the game is dead. So I hope it was worth it. Like, again, I'm not saying that the end game stuff has to be easy, but at least let the people get there. Like, let the people get there. And if they then don't manage it, okay, fine. We can talk about that. But if they're basically giving up because they have to grind for 2 months to get where you are right now, just because they don't have 6 hours a day to play the game, yeah, well, that's not good. That's not good. So, next point, bots and fraud. At the last week's game update, we implemented new systems to help fighting botting. While bots are still prevalent in Lost Ark and we continue to work, we can report that we have seen some improvement in the numbers of bots seen in-game and are continuing to take actions against those who have been able to remain. One of these changes included a prevention system to crack down on bots and fraudulent purchases. Players who have a Steam account in good standing and have met the small purchase requirement needed to use Steam's social system or made a purchase in Lost Ark through either Amazon or Steam will not be impacted. Accounts that have not met this trusted status through Steam or Lost Ark will be experience reduced access to a small number of social and economic systems. Specifically, these accounts will have smaller daily Steam purchase limits than trusted players and will be restricted to initiating player-to-player trades. Requests can still be received, sending in-game gifts, exchanging royal crystals for gold, sending in-game mail with the attachments. While the system has helped to see major improvement when it comes to fraudulent game activity, we also understand it might have had some effect on free-to-play players. We're keeping a close eye out for this feedback and share your experience. So, I will be honest, I'm not so sure like how many people we are talking about really got affected by this. So what they are talking about, there is a system in place where Steam is basically telling you you have to spend, I think, $5 on Steam to activate some social systems. This is something to prevent the botting, right? And I think it's $5, maybe it's $10 or something like that. It's a relatively small sum, all things considered. But I wonder really who is like having a Steam account with no money spent and they are playing Lost Ark on it and only Lost Ark on it. It's like maybe the people using a VPN because they had to create an account in a different region to play it here. But then again, you can still deactivate this by buying something in Lost Ark. So I wonder how many people are affected. But what I can tell you is bots are still running around. But it seems like they are not really, like they are still running around. But it seems like the whole auction house system got better. Like the price for items seems to go up a bit. So it did something. Then they talked about the competitive proving ground season. We already talked about this. Then they also talked about the skin release cadence. We have seen continued feedback surrounding the release of skins into the game, and we want to share with players why speeding this up can be tricky. Existing skins in the Korean version were released before some classes, requiring art and development time to rig models with skin for newer classes and the special weapons that accompany them. In fact, some of this work for newer classes still needs to be done. While we are releasing skins at a far faster rate than they originally came out in Korea, we understand we do not have the broad library of skins to select from like some of the other regions currently do. Where we would like to release skins that can be used by players using all classes, we will continue gathering feedback from our players. Yeah, that's the problem, of course, when you made the decision to bring the Sorceress into the game, right? The Sorceress is one of the newest classes, the second newest class available in Korea. Like the only class which is newer than the Sorceress is the Artist, right? So, of course, if you want to release skins of the last 2 years, then the Sorceress doesn't even exist that long. I think the Sorceress came out last year in October? I think it was October, if I'm not completely wrong. So, if you want to make sure that all those skins function on the new classes, then yes, you always have to add at least the Sorceress, and it would take much longer. But here's the thing. Just release some skins you cannot use on some classes. Because before anybody says, like, no, that's unfair. No, they are already doing it. What? Yeah, you probably didn't notice that, but they're already selling skins only for specific classes. They already do that. Like the Striker has a skin only the Striker can buy. And I think there's another one. I don't know if it is the Gunlancer. I don't want to say anything wrong. I have to look that up again. But the Striker already has that. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, I think if you were explaining to people that, hey, sorry, the class you were playing wasn't out there when the skin came in, and you have to wait a little bit longer till we are rigging this and all that. It's like, yeah, okay, well, happens. I think people can understand that. I'm not saying it's fun. I'm not saying it's fair, but it's understandably. Because let's say you're releasing the Artist relatively soon here in the West. Let's say the Artist is up there as another support player because we need another support player. We have only 2, and having 3 of them would be beneficial for every group. Like, that would make things even worse. That would make things even worse because the Artist definitely doesn't have, like, all of the skins in the last 3 years of Lost Ark. It is what it is. I mean, even that, it's not just the Sorceress, it's the Striker as well. The Striker came out last year in May? April? Something like that? In South Korea? Yeah. It's okay. It's fine. Like, people have multiple classes, and they will buy multiple skins for it. That's fine. Next point, safeguarding your account. We have recently seen a small influx of players being banned due to purchasing Steam keys through third-party websites. While we understand the deals can be tempting, we want to emphasize that third-party purchasing should never be considered safe. Despite what the website may claim, Steam keys sold on those kinds of sites are the results of fraudulent purchases. That's not true. Like, we could now have a discussion about this, but no, they are not the results of fraudulent purchases most of the time. But hey, I can see where they are saying that because they are on the receiving end. But here's the thing. What do they mean by Steam key for Lost Ark? Lost Ark is a free-to-play game. What kind of Steam key? Like, do we talk about the, what is it called? The pre-order keys? Do we talk about that? Like, I don't really know what they mean with this. Like, normally, they are the gray markets, so to speak, and they're called the gray markets because, well, not everything on that is fraudulent. And normally you can buy, like, what some people like to do, right? They're buying keys in Russia or in India where they're literally paying for, I don't know, the newest Battlefield for $5, even though you can probably get Battlefield 2042 for $5 anyways here in the West already, but that is a different topic. You know what I mean, right? And then you can basically resell if they do not have region locks. I say if they don't have, because what Steam did in the last few years, they put region locks into place, and it also got them into trouble right now. Yeah, but there's, again, a completely different topic. Like, we could talk about the whole gray market for hours. So you've chat is saying that most likely founders keys being sold, probably tech. Probably. Yeah. And they might actually came to be through fraudulent purchases. Because as far as I'm aware, here in the West, the founder's key that all cost the same amount. So when somebody is selling them for, let's say, $20 instead of $60, then yeah, chances are pretty high that they were probably fraudulent. Right, because the price was everywhere the same in every region here in the West, because we always have like very similar buying prices when it comes to Steam keys. So, but yeah, I'm still wondering what they mean with that. That's probably a thing. But with that said, there was their update on the top issues in the week of April. And I think the biggest takeaway here is the roadmap and the honing difficulties. Like as I said, I'm very curious to see the next events. The other events will be phased out, I think, in 2 weeks around Easter. Yeah, I think around Easter they will phase out the events we already have, and new events will take over. And I'm very curious to see what kind of rate of resources we are getting. The roadmap, I'm also pretty much convinced that we are getting the roadmap of Lost Ark this week. Not sure if it will be the beginning of the week or the end of the week, but definitely this week, because the roadmap is designed for April and May, and they have to inform us somehow what happened in May soon, right? So they don't have infinite amount of time. But I say we are done for today. Yeah, unfortunately, as I said, Beaver is not with us, so I don't really have anything else to cover. And after an hour of talk, man, my voice is giving a little bit out. But yeah, I would say we are wrapping it up here. We will be back next week on Sunday. Yes, hopefully with Beaver. I hope he is alright. Like as I said, he didn't appear. He didn't say anything, which is kind of rare for him. So I hope he is alright. But yeah, we will be back next week on Sunday at 4 p.m. ET, as per usual, with the Founders Ark podcast, episode 7. Yeah. And I think it will be a big one. Yeah. I think we will have to cover a lot of roadmap. So prepare thy butt. But folks, thank you so much for watching. If you are enjoying this podcast, I would appreciate if you leave a like. If you're new to the channel and you want to see daily gaming news, you want to see more Lost Ark videos, I do a lot of guides here on the channel. Sometimes we are focusing a bit on the niche topics. A lot of the big Lost Ark channels do not cover. If you want to see more on that, I would appreciate if you might consider to subscribe. Also, we're doing our weekly podcast here. And I'm also have started to do more Warhammer 40k on my channel, which is doing really well, crazy enough. Like, thank you for all the people who are interested apparently in my thoughts and other things on the Warhammer 40k universe. So thank you for that. Like, they have been really generous with their support. So thank you for that. And if you ever want to catch me live, not just here on YouTube, like I'm doing some YouTube streams here and there, but if you want to catch me live, you can do so from Monday to Friday at 9 a.m. ET, which is 2 p.m. UK time and 3 p.m. Central European time, over at trovo.live/ChaosMole. You will find a link in the video description. And we are talking about gaming news in the morning, and then we are always playing the biggest games. Like right now, we still have to finish Elden Ring. I am playing this game now for over months, and we are not done yet. But we have to finish up Elden Ring. We want to play some Midnight Ghost Hunt tomorrow, which should be kind of cool. It's a prop hunt, but a little bit more in depth. It's kind of cool. You should check it out. Then we have Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Maybe I'm checking still out Ghostwire Tokyo, trying to finish that. And then there's some other games coming up. So if you want to see new games, sometimes even days before they actually release, because I'm getting early access to it thanks to publishers and developers, I would appreciate if you stop by to say hi, and then we are playing some games together. But with that said, thank you so much for joining me today. If you're watching this later on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And most importantly, stay safe. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye. Ka-ching!